Hey, welcome back. So, in our last video, we took a look at my over 10-year or older goblin deck. Well, anybody who knew me would tell you that my goblins were my pride and joy. But I did run a lot of decks. Most of them I ran for fun, and they weren't designed to be highly competitive, but they were designed to help get other people, other friends who were starting out in the game, a taste of different play styles. And today we're going to look at a deck that I designed, and I always like to go along tribal themes. So let's pull it out of this old Ultra Pro deck box. I don't even think they sell this style anymore. And let's take a look, shall we? Let's put that over there. This was my Minotaur deck. So it's a red deck, pure mono red, and aside from the land, the first card that comes up is a Lava Spike. Lets you, for 1 mana, it lets you deal 3 damage to a target player, and this again would have been right around the time that I quit playing that I acquired these. And this is a card that takes me back to the early days. I'm going to mess up the pronunciation, the Abara Spirit Crafter. It was a Minotaur, it still said Summon Minotaur, didn't even have the creature designation yet. And it was a 2 colorless and 2 mountains for a 1/3 creature. But its effect was gave all Minotaurs +1/+0. Which at the time that I remember first getting this card and thinking about doing a Minotaur deck, that was kind of a big deal. Some land. Zarapa Minotaur. Now, this guy was awesome. I think I got my first one of these. Not sure when I got my first one, but it was back in the 90s. And it was my first card that had first strike on it. So that was a new ability at the time. I remember that being a big deal. And he also is a 2 colorless and 2 mountains, so a forecast, but he's a 3/3. Now the downside to him is anyone could pay his effect cost, causing him to lose first strike. So you hope people either didn't read that, or you hoped they didn't have the mana to pay for it. But he was an awesome card. Another old card, going back before they even had the proper summon creature designations, was the Harloom Minotaur. He is a 3 cost, 1 colorless, and 2 mountains. And all this writing in here, that's all flavor text. No ability with all that writing. And he's a 2/3. I love the artwork on these older cards. I just really do. And then this was a big deal when I got my hands on one of these. This was a didgeridoo artifact. It costs 1 to play, and now I can get any Minotaur on the field for 3 colorless mana. I don't have to worry about whether I have the mountains for them or not, which in this deck wouldn't be a problem, but if you were running a mixed deck, it could be. But you could get all your Minotaurs out for only 3 mana. With Minotaurs in this deck at least have an average cost of 4 mana or up, that's a big savings. Mountains, another didgeridoo. Good old lightning bolt. Kill a creature or peg a player for 3 damage. Awesome card. Another Zarapa, another lightning bolt. Giant strength. Old school enhancing right there. Love this. Give target creature, you enchant the creature, and they get +2/+2 for only 2 mana. That was huge. I can't pronounce that. An Abana Shaman. These were great. They would cost you 4, so 3 colorless and a mountain. But every turn you could pay a mountain and tap these guys to peck 1 damage either on the target player or a creature that player had. And having a couple of these guys on the field kill lots of small creatures or be a nuisance to the other player. The giant strength. This is the alternative artwork for the shaman. And then lava spike, another lightning bolt. Alright, Eternal Minotaur. 4 cost with haste. So 2 colorless and 2 mountains for a 3/3 with haste. But thanks to our didgeridoo, he only cost us 3. And a 3/3 with haste was a huge deal to get on the field back then, especially if you were playing somebody who didn't have time to really ramp out their decks. A Goblin Charbelcher was added to this deck later on just to give it kind of some glass cannon power. Dual lands. Fencer's Mage Mark. This was sort of a late add to this deck, just to kind of give it a little more oomph to Minotaurs. I remember I themed this out thinking about just Minotaurs, big, hulking, strong Minotaurs, swinging big weapons, and so I focused a lot on this. And this is right around the time Auras came out, so you throw that on them, enchant them, give them an oomph. Then we had the Adara Bodyguard, another 4 cast, but thanks to our didgeridoo, get him down to only 3, and he was a 2/3 with a first strike capability. And I always liked the artwork on this. Another Spirit Crafter. Now, I think at the time that I built this, I remember Minotaurs, there wasn't like a whole lot of Minotaurs available, so it's a lot of repeats in this deck. But this deck wasn't meant to be super competitive. This was just kind of a, hey, I'm going to build up a bunch of mediocre creatures, turn them into really strong creatures, and we're just going to smash the battlefield. And it was good. It was a good deck for someone to learn how to play the game either with or to learn to play against. Because it allowed them to play aggressively, but at the same time it gave them decent defense. But the deck ran overall very slow. And there you go. This was a very super simple deck that I used to run. And like I said, this wasn't a competitive deck as much as this was just a let's have fun and smash the battlefield with a bunch of raging bulls. And it was a lot of fun running this deck back then. Anyhow, I'm sure that there's lots of people who are saying you should have this, should have that, but this deck is over 10 years old, and at its time, it was very good. And it's actually a deck that I look forward to playing with again. I don't think it'll be super competitive, but I think it would be a lot of fun just to run against, and I think it can hold its own against most of the pre-constructed stuff, even today probably. Alright guys, until next time, remember, every day is a good day. Be good people, have fun doing it, and make gains.